I'm going to show you guys how you can take a part-time gig and turn it into full-time income using platforms like Fiverr.com, UpWorks, and freelancer. This was a great question I received from one of my followers who has a full-time job and wants to quit his job. He does a few one-off part-time sort of gigs on Fiverr.com. He is in the motion graphics and video editing space and wants to transform his life by being able to use growth hacking to take what he has as part-time income from using Fiverr.com into a full-time income where he doesn't need his full-time job anymore. I'm going to show you how to do that today, and we're going to talk about how to growth hack freelancing income from part-time to full-time. Hey everybody, today we're going to talk about how you can growth hack from a part-time gig to full-time income using freelance platforms like Fiverr.com, freelancer, and UpWorks. I received a fantastic question from Shoaib, a follower of mine, who basically was reaching out to me looking for a growth hack on how to turn his one-off gigs that he has on Fiverr into a full-time income. He would like to get out of his full-time job into having full-time income from freelancing. So today I'm going to talk about six aspects. I'm going to talk about 6 aspects on how you can actually go about growth hacking a part-time to full-time income using freelancing gigs. The first part I'm going to talk about is consistency. Okay, so one of the biggest problems when growing any type of business, whether it be for freelancing or a full-time business that you run, is basically let me share a very rudimentary story that I had experienced in one of my last companies with one of my co-founders. We were running a sales campaign driving revenue up in the early stages of our business, and he came in with the initial findings, and we found a spike that went just like that. And he was extremely excited, looks at my face and says, "Why aren't you as happy as I am?" And I said, "Spikes scare me. The problem with a spike is that we're chasing the first high we had, and we need to consistently work even harder every single time to chase a spike. Chasing spikes is exhausting and does not help build a consistent business. What we're looking for is not a spike, but a consistent horizon. And consistency is where you want to be." So the first point when it comes to consistency is that you need to be very selective in the sense of the type of clients that you take on. I'll give you another example now. I'll give it to you from the other perspective. So I was trying to source a freelancer for gaming design, and the initial conversations we had over contact rather than, of course, you should always be contacting on both sides individuals before actually engaging in a gig. And our personalities just didn't match. And I think it's really important to quickly qualify and identify people you can work with and not work with very quickly. So going back to making sure that this is consistent, the second part you need to look at is the pricing mechanism that you use. So you don't want to be low down there. You don't want to be undercutting other people. You don't want to be way up here where when someone would love your work and say, "Well, I can only hire this guy one time," or "I can hire him for a part." You want to be at a sweet spot, a magic price. Only you'll understand how to take a judgment call on that behalf, where somebody can look at how to work with you on a consistent basis. Next, we're going to look at how to structure your gig offering. Okay, so there are 3 types of ways that you need to look at how you structure a gig in order to drive consistency and growth hack. First off, you need to have very specific gigs. And when I say very specific, so we'll take Shoaib's example. He does motion graphics and video editing. Now, under those 2 umbrellas, it can be a million things that you can do, okay? One of the very specific things that he does are glitch logos, okay? And there's probably a million ways that you can do glitch logos. So each gig should be its own specific thing. So when someone is hiring, there's a highly objective outcome that is set as an expectation from the beginning, and load them up with examples that that demonstrate that specific type of gig. The second part is you want to design gigs that allow for volume to drive that type of consistency. So rather than it being just one motion graphic that you develop, you can talk about developing 5, 10, 15, 20 motion graphics in a single package and giving an even better price that allows for more consistency. The third type of gig is what I call crossover gig. So a crossover gig is you have 2 or 3 different types of gigs, and you would do a double, triple combo. And let's say you have 2 gigs at wanting 20 and another at 20, and combined would be normally 40. You'd bring that to say $30 or $35 or $28. You'd find just a magic price in there where value would just radiate in combining these type of gigs, and you'd want to find combinations that would make sense. Okay. And that would be about, and that would be how you'd redesign some of the gigs in your portfolio. There are 2 ways that you can look at boosting your growth through these type of platforms. One is providing a bonus for reviews and a bonus for referrals. So what I mean is this, and I'm not talking discount. You would add something into the gig if an individual is willing to give you a review. Now, a review doesn't necessarily have to be 5 out of 5 star, but an ability to actually allow you to demonstrate the product or service that has been delivered. Now, this is really important because there's anonymity, of course, is really important. There's a lot of gigs that I put out there that I do not allow for public demonstration for obvious reasons, because of intellectual property reasons. But there's a lot of people out there that don't mind. Incentivize them with a bonus. Incentivize them also with a bonus for referrals. Ask for 3 to 5 referrals. It doesn't matter if they sign up or not, but generate new leads on people who may have an interest in the same thing, the same gig or one of the gigs that you provide, and provide an additional bonus at a certain value. So now you can start to boost the gigs that you have in your portfolio. Post-gig boosting. Post-gig boosting is once you're actually done with a client, so you've finished a motion graphic gig for a specific client. What I would suggest is you send out 3 ideas with the final deliverable. Say, hey, here are 3 ideas I'd like to give you free of charge. These are things for you to consider that you might want to think as the next step on what you'd like to do. This ignites either something that they may have been thinking about or they haven't thought about, but it allows for the conversation to continue. Roughly 1 week after you've done a gig, you should follow up with feedback. Many people on these type of platforms are too transactional in nature, and I can understand why. That's how these platforms are designed. But you want to try to use that to build relationships, so again, we can drive consistent growth. And to do that is after following up after 1 week and getting feedback, you can feed that into redesigning of your gig. And what I mean by that is you're going to get 3 types of feedback. You're going to get things that can improve an existing gig, remove part or in whole a gig, or improve a gig. So when you look at the kind of feedback you can get like that, you can actually improve your portfolio, give credit to the customers or individuals who've given you that feedback, and then go back and loop back by informing former customers that you improved, made an addition, or have improved a gig. And that keeps again a top of mind approach to being able to remind people that you exist and that you do other things or have made improvements. Again, that will drive consistency using these platforms. And now we'll take a look at some hardcore growth hacks, and one of them is it's an extremely powerful way of doing things. Now, I don't know if you've noticed this, but when I start using a lot of these platforms, I may need more than one type of guy. Now, some of these platforms are very good at facilitating that, but it leaves it up to me. Now, if you were a freelancer and you're able to find other people who may work within your ecosystem, so let me give you an example. You create a logo and you have somebody else who's really good at creating the visual brand guideline. It would be a wise idea to go partner with them, that you have a way to transfer clients over to them and vice versa. So you can add into someone else's gig or someone else can add into your gig. What this allows you to do is it allows you to drive more value into the premium that you can charge for your gig, but also allows you to go back and re-tap into those clients so that you can bring them back into some of your other core gigs. Also, as you start to work with other freelancers in these platforms, you identify who's good and who's not, and who you can work with and who you cannot work with, and it allows you to also find other ways to funnel more business towards you using the traffic that other freelancers have using these platforms. And finally, a few tips. One is don't be pushy, do not kiss ass, be polite, okay? And try your best to add value before somebody actually engages to a gig. So the best way is when somebody's actually making an inquiry. Some of the things that some freelancers have done that have totally nailed closing a deal with me is they will try to attempt doing some initial drafts for me, some very basic rudimentary stuff. But what it does, it gets the communication lines moving a lot quicker and easier between I and the freelancer. Now, why that works is because it allows me to lower the risk working with that individual, allows that individual to perform a lot better, meaning it's a much better engagement. So these are a few ways that you can look at on how to growth hack your freelancing career, going from just single or one-off gigs to creating full-time income from these gigs and gig platforms like Fiverr, UpWorks, and Freelancer. I'd like to thank Shoaib for sending in this question. I encourage other people who follow me, please, you can comment in my YouTube, my Instagram, or whatever other social platform you may find me in. I'm more than happy to take those questions and try my best to find ways that you can look at how to use growth hacking to increase the growth of your businesses. Thank you.